What's up, guys? I'm sitting here and I'm slacking, man. It's Saturday and I'm doing Real Estate Friday. What in the world's going on, man? I'm dropping the ball. I just went out for the pass and boom, I dropped it. But I wanted to hit you with some quick knowledge, just a little bit different. I want to just give you a perspective of how I'm seeing the market right now and why you may be reading articles that you're reading and are seeing things in the news like cost of lumber and you know, material goods skyrocketing, cost of building houses going up, and things that you may not even see in the news, like the cost of development. Just if you had a field that was a farm field out here in DFW and it was farmland, just the cost to bring it to where you could deliver it and build a house on is going up, and all of these costs affect the end product. And the end product is what you and I are buying, right? We're buying a home. We want to buy a home, so we go and we buy a home. And that median, what it means is just the average price that you could go out and buy a home for is continually increasing. It's continually going up, and a lot of that has to do with, you know, builders are in business to make money. They're not in business to lose money, and so their pricing has to keep up so they can keep their margins. I mean, it's just a fact. If they don't make money, then we don't have anyone to build us houses. So we want them to make some money, and they're going to make some money or they won't be around. And so looking at that, you start looking at these prices and you start looking at the median cost. So used to what you could get a house for, let's call it 100 grand in DFW. Now you're starting to look at the high 200s, mid 300s for an entry level price. And, you know, nice home. Location wise, you're going to be further out than some of the other homes. That's usually what the deciding factor is. So, you know, maybe you buy in Frisco and it's 540,000, where you could go out into, let's call it Weston or Salina or Ennis. Or Ennis, you could probably get it less, but you know, you have to start driving Weatherford. You start driving on the outer city limits, Royce City, and you start finding these houses. And so you can get a $540,000 house for now $340,000 house because you drove, so the land basis went down. And that is why you keep seeing these things about build to rent and rental homes. And if you have an opportunity to get in and own some rental homes, you know, that's why people want the opportunity, because here's what happens. Interest rates go up, right? And now all of a sudden the person who could afford this home can no longer afford the home because it doesn't make sense. So for instance, let's just say the median income for a household, which this is even high, which is crazy to me, but this is high, is $85,000. And if you're looking at $85,000 combined income, then what they're saying, if, you know, depending on your debt ratios, is you've got about $1,700 a month that you can afford for a house payment. $1,700 a month, you know. You're making, you know, a little over $7,000, but you're not really making that because you're paying taxes and everything. So you start thinking about that. If you're paying car payments, you know, all that. I mean, it can get really tight when you start paying that amount. That's where the rental aspect comes in, because the reason it can also get tight, if you're buying a new home and then all of a sudden your AC goes out, or, you know, you have roof damage and you got to pay the deductible and all these things. If you're already stretched, well, guess what? If you own the home, you gotta maintain the home. So flip that and start looking at it from a person who needs to rent. They feel confident, comfortable with $1,700 a month, but they don't have a whole lot of confidence in the ability to maintain that home. Well, when you start getting into a rental, now you have a property management company or a guy like myself who's managing the property, who's responsible for those items. Depending on your contract, right? There could be some things in there. There could be a limit on the calls you make, and all that's negotiable. But in saying so, now all of a sudden, people start getting priced out of being able to purchase a home, but they still want a home. They still want a certain school district. They still want to live in a certain area. And so now they get pushed into having to rent. or deciding to rent. You know, honestly, it used to be having to rent, and now today people are deciding to rent because they travel a bunch, or they don't want the maintenance of a home. They don't want to have to worry about all that. They may not want to stay in a neighborhood for long, or maybe their job causes them to move around a bunch, and so they don't want to buy a home and then have to sell a home and then move over here. They'd rather rent a home. And so now it's becoming more of a lifestyle. You're seeing a lot of people move into this lifestyle. And so what I want you to understand about this, and the way that I'm seeing this, is as home prices move up, interest rates will start to follow. They haven't yet because it's going to affect the economy. You know, when interest rates go up, it affects the economy, and the economy is already hurting regardless if you think it is or isn't. It is. All you have to do is drive around and look at commercial buildings and look at how many spaces are vacant. Those are all jobs. Those are all incomes. Those are all things that stimulate the economy, right? Even from the guys who are leasing the spaces that aren't getting to lease those spaces anymore. That's a trickle-down effect that's affecting even the guys who are construction guys that build commercial buildings, and maybe some of those commercial buildings are on halt right now. All these things affect everything. So same thing with home building. If home building starts to slow down, well, guess what? The electrician and the plumber and the framer and, you know, and then all the vendors that supply all that, everyone is affected. So, you know, they're keeping the interest rate somewhat historically lower than they've ever been, so that people can continue to afford to buy, so that they can continue to get into a place to buy, so that they can continue to keep the machine moving. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's a machine, and it's got to move. But I want you to be prepared, and I want you to look at these things, because if you understand it, and you can see the trend, and you can prepare to go against the trend, because that's how you get ahead of the trend, right? You start figuring out how I can start going against the trend during this time, so that when I get to a place, I have a place to where I'm in a position to really kill it. But I have to understand the key indicators of the market. And the more that I understand the writing on the wall, the better I can position myself to be in a place to position myself, because when the market changes and shifts, if I can not only weather the storm, but take advantage of the storm, right? It's just like if you had a field and you wanted to go plant some seeds, you go plant these seeds, and then you need it to rain. Well, the storm that's coming, if you're planting your seeds right now and the rain comes, guess what? You're in a good position. So look, I know this is Saturday, but it's still Real Estate Friday. It doesn't matter when it is. It's Real Estate Friday, because it's Friday every day in my life. So look, guys, I'll see you guys next week. Later.